where to find overnight parking in prime camping locations for vans and truck campers. I'll be going over that today, and I'll also be giving you a handy infographic. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Tanner and I live full-time in my camper van, and I'm traveling to all 50 states. I'm on state 12 out of 50, Indiana. Let's get to it. So starting off with free commercial establishments, we have Walmart. And Walmart, most people know about. It's awesome. You can camp there. Just go to the back, don't make too much noise, pretend you're stealth camping, and they'll let you stay. The vast majority of Walmarts do let you stay. However, there are a few that prohibit overnight parking, and to figure that out, what I do is I use the app Free Roam. People will report if a Walmart lets you stay overnight or not, or of course you could just go in and talk to Walmart and see what they say. Walmart is a great option because there are so many of them. I'll stay in a lot of really small towns with 3,000 to 4,000 people, and they almost always have a Walmart that I can just park at and get my night of sleep and then keep moving. Solid first option, but let's keep going. Next up, we have Cracker Barrel, Bass Pro Shops, and Cabelas. So these ones are awesome because all of them are camper friendly. The only downside is that they are less common than Walmart, but I stay at Cracker Barrel as much as I can because get breakfast in the morning and support those who support free camping. Again, just go stealth camp in the back. Don't make too much noise. Don't be a nuisance, and you'll be good there. Then you have casinos. I personally don't stay at casinos often because casinos are a little bit more hit or miss, and if you do stay at one, you should find them on apps like Free Roam, All Stays, iOverlander, Dirt, those kind of apps, because they'll tell you if they're friendly to campers. Some I've even heard provide amenities for campers. I haven't seen it. Then again, I haven't really stayed at casinos, so there's another option for you. Next up, and one of my personal favorites, are rest areas. So you can find these along the sides of interstates and highways. They'll have 24-hour bathrooms. A lot of them have vending machines. Some even have little convenience stores on them. But for the most part, you know you're gonna be able to stay there, use the bathroom, but they're not quiet. That is a drawback. There are a bunch of semi-trucks parked there. I've heard that in some states you're not allowed to stay overnight in rest areas, which is really weird. I haven't ran across any of those, but I would just look for signs if it says no overnight parking or whatever. Then you have truck stops, super convenient option. You have gas, food, showers, a lot of the time, toilets, you know, all that stuff. It will be loud and it could be close to a city, which is good or bad. Sometimes there will be too many truckers to actually stay overnight, but if you're in a van like I am, 19-footer, and you can park in any spot really, they're a pretty solid option. And to finish up the list of free overnight spots in public and commercial places, you have big hardware stores like Menards, Lowe's, and Home Depot. Some people stay at these places quite a bit. I've tried it a few times and I've been good. The rules vary per store in each location, so that's the reason I don't use these a lot, but they are good options. Next up, let's talk about free camping in prime locations. There are public lands available, such as BLM land, state land, national forests, and that type of stuff. And you can find these on recreation.gov. You can look up where you're at and see maps of it. You could also use apps like Onyx. Onyx, if you go for the paid version, they'll really break it down by area and tell you if you can or can't camp there. That's a really good app, but we'll get into other apps more specifically later. First thing I would do if you're gonna go to one of these public places and get free, awesome, dispersed camping where you're just boondocking, right? You don't have amenities. For the most part, some of them do have bathrooms, but so now the trick is to find these places that you can camp for free and find the good ones. Easiest way to do that would be using an app like Free Roam, Dirt, All Stays, iOverlander. There are so many apps. I use Free Roam, we'll get into that later. There's a really good chance that in that area of public land, it's gonna tell me some really cool places to stay, and it'll give me pictures and reviews so I can decide, do I really wanna go here? Is this spot awesome enough? What does it take to get here? Do I need four-wheel drive? However, those apps do not totally encompass all of the available spots, not even close. So the next strategy to get to those spots, if you want to go into public land like a national forest, let's say, and you haven't found any really cool places on the apps, would be to go onto recreation.gov, type in where you're wanting to go, you know, what national forest, and then you read the rules of it. Is camping allowed? That's what you want to look for. It'll kind of go into what type of camping is allowed, and what's really cool is if tent camping is allowed, if you're stealthy, van camping is also allowed. There are also really cool spots made for dispersed camping and boondocking. Typically, from what I've seen, they're usually not listed on recreation.gov. I might be wrong. It might just be the certain places I've been to. So here are a couple strategies to find really cool spots. Here's the easier one that takes less time and is more guaranteed. You can just use the number on recreation.gov to call whoever's kind of in charge of that area, a ranger or whatever, and ask, is there dispersed camping? Do you have any recommendations for where I should stay? And they're gonna give you all the information you need, and really good information as well. So that's awesome. However, I do not use that strategy. I actually do it the hard way. I look at maps going into these places and I'll find a road that goes pretty far up and I'll just go to that road and start exploring. I will literally just drive up these roads, and then if there's any kind of pullouts, I'll take it. And I found some awesome spots, beach camping, deep in the woods by creeks. There's some really cool places that I found, when really if you called a ranger, he'd probably just tell you exactly where they were, so that would be nice. But you know, it's also cool to just go exploring, and then you can get really excited when you find a cool spot. And then another really awesome place to stay is at Trailheads. I know camping technically isn't allowed at Trailheads, or at least I don't think it is. If it's a backpacking trailhead or it doesn't close, it's pretty typical for people to leave their cars there. And if you're stealthy about it, you can easily just stay in your van, sleep there, and people will probably assume that you're out hiking or camping in a tent. It's probably frowned upon, but I do that sometimes, and I found some really cool spots that way. Oh, and beaches. A lot of beaches, same thing, go to recreation.gov or just look up the beach online. It'll kind of give you information about it. And some of them will just let you drive around on it because it is public land, and you can find some awesome spots like that. So being on the coast, that's probably the #1 place to stay if they allow it. Rules are so varied, but there are some places to go to find those rules, like recreation.gov or the apps like Free Roam and all that. Those are really good resources. And then if none of those are helping, call a ranger or just start exploring. All right, on to the next section. Quick side note, if you are interested in seeing what van life is actually like from someone who's living it, I am going to 50 states. I'm gonna link my playlist and you can kind of get a feel for it. If you are thinking about living in a van, I would highly recommend watching someone else do it, whether it's me or another channel, just to see if it's something you actually might want to do. All right, so we've talked about some of the more common free options, but now let's get into some free, more unique, slightly riskier options, starting off with stealth camping in a residential area. So is this technically illegal? I don't think so, but I do know that it's frowned upon. As far as residential parking goes, the reason I would use this is mostly in order to get to a downtown city area. Say I'm going out to the bars that night and I just want my spot to be safe. You know, I can walk back to my van and just sleep for the night. That's what I do. And there's also other use cases for it, but I would just normally stick to a Walmart, Cabelas, Cracker Barrel if I'm gonna be somewhere. But some tips for that is don't stay in a super low end area just because that's sketchy. Just feel it out. If it's kind of a sketchy area, don't stay there. Are your tires gonna get stolen? Don't stay there. You also don't wanna stay in high end because the houses are more spread out, they're bigger, there's not as many people on the streets. People are gonna be more likely to call the cops on you, and you'll get a knock on the door at the middle of the night because the neighbors were worried about what you're doing there. You wanna hit this sweet spot in the middle, this middle class area where there's a lot of cars parked here, but you know, the houses aren't so awesome, but they're not sketchy either. That's the perfect place to stay. It's a place where maybe people will look out of their house, out of their windows and be like, I wonder what that van's doing there, but they'll probably just assume it's their neighbor's friend or it's their neighbor got a van or something like that. That's kind of what you're going for. And residentials can be really good because you can get in some really cool locations, and there are so many residentials. So this basically unlocks entire cities. Anywhere you are, you're gonna have a place to stay. After hearing all these tips and places to go, I mean, you're gonna be able to camp in any city in America with no trouble. But yeah, this is on the slightly riskier version of that. Next up, you have downtown parks and just downtown areas in general, or busy parts of the city. And this one might sound kind of weird, but what you can actually do when a place is so busy, especially after hours like 6 or 7 p.m. in most areas, you can park downtown in prime locations, even in places where there's like a parking meter and it says parking meter stops at 7 p.m. and you can just park there all night. And because think about how many cars are downtown in these busy areas and people just don't check, especially on the weekends. I'm not saying this is like a guaranteed method. This is definitely on the riskier side, but it's really not that risky. You can kind of just park somewhere really busy. If it's after hours, there's no signs that are like no overnight parking. There's not a real reason for you to use one of these spots. I would say don't use it. But if you are gonna be drinking and don't wanna get an Uber and pay that money because you're looking for free, right? In general, you're gonna be just fine. Worst case, you're probably gonna get a knock on the door, maybe a ticket, but it's gonna be very rare. This next one's pretty interesting because it is very accessible. I mean, there's just so many of them, and that's hotel parking lots. And this is definitely more on the stealth camping side because I don't think hotels would want you there, but they do have a lot of different people staying there and certain people people would be staying there from campers and even bigger campers. So you're definitely gonna wanna keep your lights off, make sure you're not making too much noise. Unless it's a really high-end hotel, they're not gonna make you have a parking pass or anything like that. Basically, no one's gonna question it. So yeah, that's a very powerful one. I think if you go anywhere in the United States, you should not have to pay for parking because there are so many free options and really cool free options at that. But some paid campsites might be worth it. So of course you have paid campsites, right? This is the one everybody knows about these. There's private ones which tend to be more expensive, but maybe a little bit more luxurious. You got more amenities and you have pure safety knowing that no one's gonna come knock on your door. Then there are the public campsites, which are usually a little bit cheaper and still really cool. Just depends all on location. These do get booked out really fast. I tried to camp once in the whole time I've been on the road and they were actually booked out. So I went and stealth camped in a closed area that I wasn't supposed to, but hey, it worked out. Enough about regular campsites. Everybody knows about that. Let's get into Hipcamp. I just discovered this the other month and it is amazing. It's like Airbnb, but for RVs and tents and all this stuff. So people have their private land, right? And they have really cool stuff on it and they put it up and you can rent it for like $20 to $50 a night. Usually it's kind of on the lower end. You can get to some really awesome locations where somebody isn't trying to just pack in as many people as they can and you can get a cooler experience, right? Like that's the attraction of Airbnb versus hotels. Hotels are very industrial, pack everyone in. Airbnbs, it's like more personalized, really cool stuff that can go on, very unique. Same thing with Hipcamp. I recently camped at this turquoise blue private pond with hammocks deep into the trees, all alone with a fire pit. You can go check out this video, it's Kentucky, and just had a cozy, cozy day. So I think the use case for Hipcamp is awesome. I think you can do wonders with that. That being said, I would say about 5% of my time on the road I've paid for camping, and 95% of the time I've done other stuff. To finish off paid options, there are two more really awesome things that I want to share with you. One of them is Harvest Host. Basically the deal is you pay them 99 bucks, you can stay at any of these 5,000 breweries whenever you want. They do encourage you to go spend money at wherever you stayed, so it's like breweries, wineries, places like that. So decently scenic locations, but it's really just nice to be able to stay somewhere for sure. When researching for this video, I just figured out another option called Boondockers Welcome. And okay, I haven't looked into it that much yet, but I'm definitely signing up for it. $79 a year. There's hosts, and then you just kind of like stay there for free at a person's house. Just a little over 3,500 hosts in the US and Canada, where they just host people in RVs for free, and maybe you go have dinner with them, and it seems like it's more of a connection to people. And I like that because filming these videos, most of them aren't how-to, they're more vlog, adventure style. I think meeting people on the road, because as a solo traveler, that's where I'm seeing the value, is meeting my hosts and maybe doing something with them, right? Something kind of local to each state. But yeah, that's another option. So I just pulled in for the night to my favorite Cracker Barrel. Okay, so lastly, apps. And I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but okay. So first, let's click into Free Roam. So Free Roam is personally my favorite, and basically all of these, you get a map, zoom in, you zoom out where you wanna go, they'll show free overnight parking like Cracker Barrel, Cabelas, Walmart. They'll show reviews on it. And then also free camp spots, paid camp spots. This is really awesome. So like I'm in a national forest here, right? And I'll click on this little orange one and then it'll show me where it is, pictures of it, reviews, totally crowdsourced. So anyone just posts this once they go places. And it also shows amenities and gas and where you can get water. And then there's also Dirt, All Stays, and iOverlander. Those four kind of do the exact same thing in a way. They're crowdsourced from different places. There's different pro plans. I'm not gonna get into every single app, but basically you can find your favorite. I like Free Roam because it's free and gives you a lot of stuff, and the crowdsourced community is very good on there. I love to post on there. Then we're gonna move on to, here's Onyx. So this app will let you know if something's BLM land, state land, national forest. This one is paid if you want to see every single state and unlock the full version and the full power, which it also shows you places to stay as well. But yeah, it'll give you breakdowns of different type of land. That'll really help you and give you the map where you can download it. Really, really helpful for getting into these dispersed camping spots and finding awesome ones. Next up, Hipcamp, right there, Hipcamp. This is just really cool. It's the Airbnb of RV camping and tent camping. And so yeah, you basically just go through, I think they just kind of design hacked Airbnb. that's a really cool one to have for an experience. And then also recreation.gov. And then lastly, I just bought this. I told you guys I was gonna buy it. I bought it. It was $180 a year for the full version of Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome. So I got the app. Oh my gosh, this thing is insane. I'm so glad I made this video just to find this. The amount of hosts, there are so many. This is just a random place in Michigan. You have farms that you can stay at, like an alpaca farm, and it's all free after you get the membership. Just awesome people that are letting you stay. And then there's breweries that let you stay, wineries, so many things on here. Definitely check it out. You can check out the map without being a member. I'm not sponsored. I'll try to leave links to all these apps below in the description. Thanks for watching. Here's my handy dandy infographic so you can take a screenshot of that. You might want to subscribe if you found this useful. Definitely help out the channel and keep you in the loop for what's going on next. Hopefully see you in the next one or the vlogs. Good night.